The American scientist who oversaw the creation of the first atomic bomb never regretted dropping it on Hiroshima, Japan, but James Conant was afraid of a nuclear standoff, similar to the one brewing today between the United States and North Korea. Now Conant's granddaughter is writing about his life and career. Man of the Hour is published by Simon & Schuster, a division of CBS. Tony Dokoupil spoke to the author about her grandfather's warnings. Tony, good morning.
Good morning. Warnings indeed. Conant was in charge of bringing America into the nuclear age, but his granddaughter, best-selling author and historian Jennet Conant, says his efforts to control the weapons were ignored, and now the all-out nuclear conflict he worried about could be close at hand.
This was his nightmare scenario, that we would have this enormous arms race and that it would just increase sort of unabated, and that we would inevitably find ourselves, as he said, like two gunmen with itchy trigger fingers.
Jennet Conant's grandfather, James B. Conant, wasn't the kind of person given to fear or exaggeration, and yet
my grandfather was really so terrified of a nuclear conflict. I think the idea that mutually assured destruction would have held for almost 70 years would have surprised him.
In the late 30s, Conant was a brilliant chemist, a veteran of poison gas production during World War I, and a successful president of Harvard University. But his life changed course after Albert Einstein warned the White House about the potential for extremely powerful bombs. That triggered a desperate race to build a nuclear weapon before Hitler's Germany, and the task of winning fell to Conant and a secret team of scientists.
He was the supervisor of everything that happened in terms of the bomb's development.
What happened in the summer of 1945 was the first open-air test of a nuclear weapon, a blast so shocking that Conant, from a nearby bunker, was sure the team had miscalculated.
And he thought in that moment, the world is over.
He did. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Just 3 weeks later, Hiroshima, and then Nagasaki. Still the only wartime use of a nuclear weapon.
We have spent more than $2 billion on the greatest scientific gamble in history, and we have won.
Hundreds of thousands died in the blasts and their aftermath.
People always ask me, did they feel guilty? They really felt that they had done the right thing in building the bomb. It did shorten the war. It did save lives.
And yet, Conant and his colleagues warned of the need to control the bomb by sharing the science and striking a global deal to curtail production. But the scientists were overruled. And today,
Do you feel safer or less safe?
No, we're less safe. We have this massive destructive force out there. And ultimately, he said, we have no sane option but for the international community to come together and try and find a way to control these weapons.
There hasn't been a mushroom cloud seen live in 7 decades.
Don't tempt fate. That's what my grandfather would say. These are not weapons to play with. We must find a more sane way forward.
We must, but will we?
I hope and pray.
This year's Nobel Peace Prize went to an organization hoping to ban nuclear weapons, and last summer, the United Nations advanced the very first treaty to do so. The United States, however, boycotted the talks, saying the timing is not right to lay down nuclear arms. I cannot get over the image of her grandfather in a bunker in the desert watching the very first nuclear explosion and not being sure they've done the math right. Yeah. They don't know that the explosion is ever going to end.
Don't tempt fate. Yeah. Very important words there. Tony, thank you.